What is going on, crew, and welcome to the channel. And today we are visiting Universal Orlando, Universal Studios, and Universal's Islands of Adventure. And today we're going to take you guys through 10 things we wish we knew before the first time we ever visited the park. We're actually annual pass holders here at Universal. We've been pass holders for close to 10 years. We made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and we've watched lots of others make mistakes as well. Today we're going to try and walk you through it. I'm here with Victoria, and we're going to go in and show you guys the things you should try and avoid when you come on your visit to Universal. One of the first decisions you'll have to make when visiting Universal Orlando is where you're going to park your vehicle, especially if you're not staying at one of the on-property resorts. You're going to have several options for parking, and sometimes it can get a little confusing on which one you should select. First option you're going to have is going to be your basic regular parking. For about $15 more, you can select what is called prime parking. Now, I'm going to give you a little hint here. Typically in prime parking, you are actually still parking in the same garage as the people who were parking and only paying for regular parking. You are typically just one level below them. So if you don't have a bunch of strollers, no wheelchairs, or anything like that, it probably isn't actually worth the money to go ahead and do the prime parking. On the other hand, your third option is your most pricey, but it's the one that some people really probably should consider, and that's going to be valet. If you decide to go ahead and do valet, it's actually going to give you a shorter security line, which is going to expedite your entrance into the park. It is a little more pricey, but it is a nice benefit and feature. The only thing to think about with that as well, though, is at the end of the night when you're returning to valet, it might take you a little longer to get your car than it would if you were parked in the regular garage. You just have to decide what's right for your family. So one of the things I think people get confused about at the park sometimes is the fact that there are two parks. A lot of people just assume when you say Universal Orlando, it is one park and you're going to get access to everything that Universal has with one ticket. And in fact, that's just not the case. There are actually two parks. There's Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. And even to top it one level higher than that, even if you have a ticket for each one of those individual parks as a one-day park, there is still one ride you cannot access with those regular park tickets. And that is going to be the train that is part of the Harry Potter world that will take you in between the two parks. And the only way to access that is you must have Park Hopper. So if you're coming with a family who's huge into Harry Potter, you need to make sure that you get that Park Hopper ticket, or you're going to be a little disappointed when that Harry Potter fan wants to ride the train from Hogsmeade and come over, and all of a sudden they can't get on, even though they've got access to both parks on a single day ticket. But without the Park Hopper, that ride is off limits.
One thing I wish I knew is that the freestyle machines did offer free water and ice, so you don't have to fill up on soda every time. I believe it's about between $15 and $20 for the day, and you get free refills using their freestyle cups. But you can also just use it for ice and water.
The real simple trick for this one, walk up to one of the freestyle machines. Do not put your cup on the machine yet. Hit the water button first, and then you can go ahead and grab your ice and then place it down and press the water button, and it will dispense water. If you happen to set the cup down first, you're going to get an error message, and it's not going to work immediately, delaying the process. Another thing we wish we would have known before we came to the parks the first time is Universal is famous for hosting a bunch of different events in the park. But what that also means with those events comes varying hours and certain times where certain parts of certain parks may close early. So before you come, definitely double check on the days that you're coming to the park what hours the parks are going to close. For example, Mardi Gras might have limited hours doing various things and different parades and events going on that might not occur during a normal day. And Halloween Horror Nights, for example, happens over on the Universal side, and that park typically closes early on nights of that event, which would obviously force crowds over to Islands of Adventure, having elevated wait times over here during those time periods. So when you're coming, double check what events are going on during the time period you're coming. But also the main reason you want to do that, you may want to participate in some of those events. For example, Mardi Gras does some excellent things where you can actually ride on the Mardi Gras floats. Or once again, if you're coming during the Halloween Horror Nights time, you may want to participate in that. Or if it's the holidays, you may want to participate in some of the Grinchmas events and various other things going on throughout the parks. So whatever you do, double check the time of year you're coming and see what events Universal has going on, because it may be something you want to do, but it also may be something that may affect the times that you have in the park. Another thing we wish we knew before the first time we visited the parks is that Universal, much like many of the other parks nowadays, do date-based tickets, and your ticket prices are going to vary based on the time period that you're coming. So of course, if you decide to come during the holidays or one of the busier times of year, your ticket price is going to be elevated and higher than it might be if you were to come in a slower time, kind of like at the end of the summer or in the very beginning of the year in January or February. So you want to plan your time accordingly, especially based on the budget you have to go into the parks. But another thing you need to do before you just go online and buy tickets is double check all your options. One thing we found many times, if you plan on visiting Universal for multiple days, sometimes it is actually cheaper to go ahead and buy the annual pass than it is to buy the multi-day ticket, especially if you plan on parking, possibly staying on site, because you're going to get discounts as an annual pass holder. So for example, if you're staying on site, you'll actually probably get a discount on the hotel you're staying at, depending on the tier of pass you buy. You'll also get free parking at the theme parks based on the tier of pass you purchase as well. Now, the only caveat with this, if you do decide to go this route, make sure you buy a pass that is equivalent to the dates that you want to go, as many of the different tiers of passes do have blackout dates. So whatever you do, make sure you pick the pass that is good for the date range that you're going. But another one to really look at, many times people will skip looking at the Premier Pass, which is Universal's highest level. But if you're that person who's going to go ahead and buy Express Pass, maybe get valet parking anyway, maybe it's worth looking at, because that comes with Express after 4 p.m. and free valet parking, and these all have additional added value to the pass itself, especially if you possibly maybe consider you're coming back during Halloween Horror Nights. That pass also comes with a free ticket to Halloween Horror Nights during select nights during that event period. Again, so always double check all your options. Don't just go in, buy whatever special Universal has playing right that time. Go ahead, double check on the annual passes, see what the discounts with the hotels. Even without an annual pass, you can actually check your dates and see if there's annual pass holder discounts available on the hotel. To actually just look at the discount and see if it's there, anybody can do it. Just go on Google, type in Universal annual pass holder hotel rates, click on the link, and you'll be able to see if there's pass holder rates available during the time frame you're coming.
The other thing we wish we knew is express passes. I'm not sure if your family's anything like mine, but they don't like lines. And express passes, let me tell you, on a busy day, they can get pricey. They can be anywhere between $150 to $300 a day per person, which gets really pricey. Universal offers these amazing things that if you stay at one of the premier hotels, you can get express passes for the day you check in and the day you check out. So if you book one night at either Hard Rock or either of the two Lowe's, the premier hotels for Universal, you get free express passes with the hotel stay and the purchase of your daily ticket.
Now, I wanted to give you guys a real-life example of exactly how this works, so I went to Universal's website to go look at booking a hotel. I just picked a random day. Here it has happened to pick October 2nd. And October 2nd, you can see the price of Lowe's Portofino Bay sitting here on the screen at $374. Now, with that one night's purchase, you're going to actually get Express Pass for 2 days. You will get it your check-in day, which was October 2nd and October 3rd as well. So if you've got a family of 4 with you and you were just to go and try and buy the Express Passes for those 2 days, this is your total on the screen here of over $1,600. That's not park tickets. That's no hotel. That is just the Express Passes. Which means it's $1,300 cheaper for you to book the hotel room for one night than it is to buy the 2 days worth of Express Passes, so you always have to check all your options. I'm not going to lie, we've done this many times. In fact, many times we've done it as a ghost room, meaning we never even stayed in the room. We went and picked our Express Passes up and just used the Express Passes and left the room empty.
So if Express Pass is not an option for you guys and you can't do the premier hotels, it's just not in the budget, another great thing to know about for Universal is that you can go and there's single rider on some of the rides. So, you know, if you're traveling with a family with young kids, you can keep one adult and have them run over to Dr. Seuss Land, ride Cat in the Hat, and just kind of go through everything like that, while the other ones go and ride on some of the bigger rides. You can hop on Hulk, you can hop on Velocicoaster. I personally love single rider if I'm coming by myself too, because I can just go in the line and it's a shorter wait time, so I don't have to go.
Your other option that I think that Universal does better than any other amusement park is their child swap. Their child swap is fantastic. They have these fantastic rooms that are air conditioned. Some have cartoons on for the little ones to kind of hang out and watch, so you're not standing in the heat or rain or whatever. You just get to hang out in these cool rooms. I think that Universal does child swap better than any other amusement park.
And the best thing about that too is for the ones that are able to go on the ride, you get to ride it twice.
They do.
One of the other things I wish we knew before the first time we visited Universal Orlando is that this is not Disney. In many different facets, it's significantly different than Disney. And one of the first things that you will notice that is different here than Disney, well, at Disney, they will pretty much let you take your ears, your bags, anything you have with you on pretty much every single ride at the park. That is not the case here at Universal. Universal has some more intense rides that require lockers for most of your belongings during your visit during that ride. So if you're coming to Universal, bring what you need to the park and leave some of the excess stuff back at home or at your hotel room. And also many times you can purchase things in some of the stores here in Universal and have it delivered to the front of the park, and you can pick it up on your way out versus having to carry it around the park with you the whole time. Because if you're carrying a bunch of stuff, you're going to find when you go try and get on things like the Mummy, the Incredible Hulk ride, Gringotts, they are going to force you to go take that stuff to a locker before they will allow you to get on the ride, which just becomes another headache and hassle. So again, unlike the other park, plan what you're going to bring and only bring what you need. Now, one of the other things I really wish we would have known a little better before we visited Universal for the first time was probably sat down and actually looked at a map and kind of understood the park. One thing that people can get confused on, especially at Universal, is it is a theme park, which means all the lands are themed, and especially for those of you who are Harry Potter fans, these lands are very themed. Which means many of the portions of this part of the park are hidden in plain sight because that is the theme of Harry Potter. For example, Diagon Alley is a shopping area in London, but the reality is it's hidden in plain sight and muggles can't see it. And the first time I visited the park after this area opened, I could not find it. It finally took me looking, saying, why is everybody walking into that bathroom, to go and try and walk into the bathroom to realize it's not a bathroom, it's just a concrete wall that was hiding Diagon Alley behind it. So be sure as you visit the parks, especially the Harry Potter lands, if you're a Harry Potter fan, take your time, discover the area, and don't leave any nook or cranny unturned. Because if you do, you're gonna find out later that there's probably something in the park that you missed that you would have been excited to hit. For example, we've been pass holders for a long time, as we mentioned in the beginning of this. It was several years after Diagon Alley opened before I really dove in and explored this land and discovered that Nocturne Alley actually existed in this world. It had been there the whole time, but again, I'd not done my due diligence, had not really explored this area, and never went back there and noticed it was there. There's a very cool gift shop in there and some other interactive wand ideas that you guys can do over here as well, and we'll discuss that in a few moments also.
One thing I wish we knew about before we came the first time was the weather in Florida. I wish we had ponchos, because even if it's not in the forecast, it is going to rain, because
Florida is gonna Florida.
and it sucks when it does, but let me tell you, these parks can clear out and you can have those rides all to yourself if you're willing to throw out a poncho and get a little wet and have such a great time with it.
Yeah. Or just dress for weather. Dress light and airy and go.
One other thing we wish we knew before the first time we ever visited the Universal Parks was how expensive it was going to be for you to actually come in and buy souvenirs. Now, I'm not saying the souvenirs are pricey by any type of amusement park standards, but there are some very popular franchises within the Universal family, meaning that it's very likely if you come to the parks, your family is going to want souvenirs, especially if they're big Harry Potter fans. And that stuff can rack up quickly, especially when you start considering the robes and also the wands that are in the Harry Potter lands. And the wands are the one that you're probably going to want to budget for the most. They range anywhere from about $70 upwards of $100+ depending on the wand that you want. But they're interactive wands where you can walk around the two lands and actually perform magic tricks with your family. But this one right here, definitely one of those things. If you're coming to Universal, go ahead and plan some extra money for souvenirs. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys like to see another video like this, let us know in the comments below what you'd like us to make a video on. Also, if you got any comments or any tips or tricks we missed, let us know in the comments below as well. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Am I in the screen? Okay. One of the first decisions you're going to have to make when you show up at Universal, and one of those things we wish we knew our first trip here, is you're going to have to decide where you want to park. Now, there are several options for parking when you're visiting the resorts. Oh, I didn't care. He was in your shot.